Father and son camping trip turns into a lesson on terror. And then we fly the friendly skies, or we're about to, before we make a quick stop off at an airport restroom. But little do we realize we're about to experience the horror of a haunted toilet. Today on Dead Rabbit Radio. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio. I'm your host, Jason Carpenter. I'm having a great day. Hope you guys are having a great day too. Hope you guys are having tons of fun doing whatever you're doing. We got a ton of stuff to cover today. So first off, we're running into Dead Rabbit Radio Command. Everyone get on your feet and give it up for HP 720cc. Woohoo, yeah, wee! He's running on in. A little printer on a rolling cart rolling on into Dead Rabbit Radio Command. I'm recording this episode late at night, that's why it was more subdued clapping than normal. HP 720cc shared their Spotify Wrapped, showing everyone how much they love the show, how much they listen to Dead Rabbit Radio. And that is a great way. If you guys can't support the show financially, just do what HP 720 did. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know. Dead Rabbit Radio is your favorite paranormal show. That is how you can help the show grow. It's so helpful. Really, it is. HP 720, let's go ahead and get this. Oh, actually, just a quick reminder. This weekend is our Dead Rabbit Radio movie night. January 30th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then our movie morning, January 31st at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. More details will be in the show notes. And also, I will be speaking at the Oregon Ghost Conference this year. Once again, all those details are in the show notes as well. I've been kind of promoting those pretty regularly, so let's just get on with the episode. It's not like I'm trying to hurry up, but it's like I kind of feel like a broken record. I keep bringing it up. If you want to attend the Oregon Ghost Conference, if you want to attend the movie night or the movie morning, links and more information are in the show notes below. Also, a quick update. You know, yesterday I was talking about chattering teeth and all that stuff. I think I figured it out. It wasn't an anxiety attack. I had low blood sugar. And so I've just been drinking a bunch of orange juice. So maybe go to the doctor? Maybe go to the... Orange juice. I'm going to see Dr. Vitamin C. That's who I'm seeing. No, my doctor, I haven't made an appointment, but I think it's just low blood sugar. Dangerously. Like, yeah, Jason, your teeth normally don't start chattering if you just miss a Snickers bar or something like that. I remember as a kid, I was always kind of jealous of people with diabetes because they always got to carry around candy with them. It was medicine for them. And I'd be like, well, that's kind of annoying. Like, I wish I could have a Snickers in my pocket, right? I wish I could get my mom to buy me a whatchamacallit bar every day because it's medicine. I need it, Mom. I was always kind of jealous of people who had diabetes. And I know your feet can fall off and you can go blind and die, but a lot of activities can do that. And people are jealous of race car drivers, and technically your feet can come off if you crash into the wall fast enough. But anyway, so yeah, I think it was low blood sugar. I'm just having extra sugar. Like, Jason, that's not how it works. Go to the doctor. And eventually. But for now, I'm going to have this big glass of orange juice with pulp, because that's the only way to actually drink orange juice. I'm on that weight loss shot, and it causes low blood sugar, so I think it's nothing super serious. You just have to make sure I don't die. I just basically have to manage my sugar intake, have more of it instead of just none. HP 720cc, let's go ahead and get this party started. I'm going to go ahead and toss you the keys to... You know what, here? I'm going to toss you the hair hang glider. We haven't used this in a while. Everyone grab onto HP 720's ankles as he runs and jumps off the highest point of Dead Rabbit Radio Command and glides us all the way out to the forest. Nice leisurely glide out to the forest. And I hope you guys brought your backpacks. I hope you guys brought your hiking shoes and some comfortable clothes. I also hope you guys each brought me a candy bar. I might need it. And we're walking through the forest, and that's when we are going to come across a boy and his father. We don't have the boy's name. We're going to go ahead and call him Thomas. And then his dad we'll just refer to him as Dad. Easy enough. Thomas and his father are out camping as well. Actually, they're doing it a little more cool than we are. We're walking around in, like, shorts and shoes and stuff like that. They're on horseback. I'm sure they also had clothing on. You're like, what? Is it a nude horseback camping trip? No, they probably also had shoes. But anyways, they're riding horses. We don't get to ride horses. Thomas and his dad are on a horseback camping trip through the forest. Clump, clump, clump. Oh, girl, it's okay, it's okay, Thomas says as he scratches his horse behind the ear. Just a few more miles through uneven terrain and surrounded by bears on both sides. Don't worry. Here's a sugar cube. Nom, nom, nom. They're riding their horses through this area, and then, just like most campers do, you kind of walk in just a direction. And then as the sun goes down, you go, I guess we're going to camp here. So you put your tent up on the trail. It's a BMX trail. And you're getting ran over by bike riders. No, I've never really been camping. I've been camping maybe 2 or 3 times. And I was a kid or I didn't care. I think the last time I went camping, I was probably 19, but I didn't care. So I wasn't paying attention to how everything is done. But I mean, this is how I assume it works. You put a bunch of stuff on your back. And you walk down a trail, you park your car in the forest, the forest parking lot, and then you walk down a trail until it gets dark or your legs get tired or you see a pretty place, and then you go off the trail and put your tent up. And there may be a place for it, maybe you're at a place where other people camp, but maybe not, so you're just kicking branches over and stuff like that. All these endangered species, you're all stepping on them. Move out of the way. I gotta sleep here for one night. Squish, squish, squish. Because you can't put your tent on the trail, right? I'm not that stupid. But anyways, you put your tent off the trail. You go as far off trail as possible. You keep walking until you lose all sense of direction. And then you go, I'm gonna sleep here for the night. You put your camp up and you build a little fire pit. And you set a fire. And then you sit there. And you realize how boring this whole exercise is, and then just sheer depression because this hobby sucks. You go to bed. It seems pretty self-explanatory. In the morning, you wake up and you put the fire out, pour water on it or kick dirt on it or whatever, and then you pack up your tent, you go back to the trail, and you continue to walk. I wonder how many campers just go, I don't need a trail. I'm just going to walk through the woods. I'm going to walk towards the setting sun, so I know I'm always walking west. Because skiers do that, right? Skiers are these places that are safe, where I know the powder isn't going to kill me. That's lame. I'm going to just grab my skis and go up a mountain and just pick a direction. Skiers do that, so I wonder if campers do that. I wonder if hikers go, you know what, this trail is lame. Let's go this way. Anyways, they were on horses, so it doesn't really matter, right? I think a horse probably has a pretty hard time getting lost. I don't think you can get lost on a horse. You could ride a horse around and go off trail and be stomping on squirrels and all sorts of stuff. And then you as a human would be lost, but you go, hey, buddy, which direction should we go in? And the horse goes, because the horse isn't an idiot. The horse will go, there's water over here. I can hear it with my horse ears. Or, hey, no, there's a McDonald's over here. I can smell it with my horse nostrils. Follow me. I bet you animals animals can't get lost. Animals can't get lost. If you take a dog way, miles away from your house and throw him out of your car, is the car stopped? I'm not a monster. And I've never done this, by the way, but you put I think it's horrible. You put the dog outside the car and you drive back home, dog will find his way home. But if you did that to a 6-year-old, they're probably not going to make it back. They're probably going to have a hard time finding their way home. So, 6-year-old human, by the way. But so I bet you, it would be good. Horses can't get lost, is my theory on this thing. The electromagnetic waves are picking up something. They'll always get you home. Anyways, this story doesn't have nothing to do with people getting lost, by the way. You're like, what? Or animals get lost all the time. I don't think they do, actually. We can debate that. But for now, Thomas and his dad are on a horseback journey through the woods, and they stop at night, and they decide to set up camp, set up their tent and everything, and they start a little fire. They're just sitting there chatting, right? Father and son bonding. When all of a sudden, first, they're sitting there, and they begin to hear something rustling in the darkness. You can't see it. It's outside of the light of the fire, but they hear something rustling through the undergrowth. And Thomas and his dad kind of look at each other, and then the dad goes, Scoot! Scoot! Get out of here! Get out of here! And Thomas is like, yeah, get out of here! Because they think it's an animal approaching them. Maybe it's a curious animal, maybe it's a hungry animal, a desperate animal. They don't know. But they don't want it coming near them, so they start yelling. But then they noticed something. Whatever this thing was It was not an animal. Thomas is looking and he sees something in the woods, but not something far off. Not something deep into the forest in front of them, no. He said, I saw a small ember appear, a little burning ember appear just outside of the reach of our fire's light. Right where the campfire's illumination reached its end, where the darkness of the forest lived, he saw this little burning ember. And because of the height of where it was at, because he couldn't see anything about this burning ember, but because of the height of where it's at, Thomas said it seemed to be if a man was standing just outside of the light smoking a cigarette. And that would make sense too. If you saw that, 5.5, 6 feet off the ground, glowing, that would be, if it's 3 inches off the ground, you'd go, oh, that's just an ember flying through the forest, or maybe a snail picked up a bad habit. But if it's 5.5, 6 feet up in the air, you go, it must be a man smoking. Now, his father noticed this as well, and they kind of look at each other, and they see this little ember glowing there. And they think that someone found their campsite. Someone saw the glow of their campfire or heard this father and son talking, and this man approached them. Now that they see this burning ember and they realize it's not some sort of beast walking through the brush to get them, Thomas's dad goes, Hey, why don't you come over here and enjoy the fire with us? Opening up this campsite to this stranger who might be in need. Maybe he's lost. Maybe he's just curious. Maybe he's lonely. But the father didn't perceive him as a threat. He goes, hey, would you like to sit down with us, enjoy this campfire? But there's no response. They just see this little glowing ember continue to burn. The father and son sat there for a few more moments, and then the ember just simply faded away. They figured that there was a man there, obviously, right? A man was there smoking a cigarette just outside of the ring of light. A little off-putting, maybe. I think how concerned you would be about that would be directly related to how well you're armed. They don't seem particularly concerned. Or here's the thing. If Thomas's father is concerned, he doesn't say anything. They just figure the guy left. So they end up eventually going to sleep. They go to sleep. The next morning they wake up and, campsite's normal. They're normal. Nothing seems to have happened. They're packing their stuff up. And then all of a sudden Thomas goes, hey, Dad, look at this. This is weird. And Dad walks over to where Thomas is standing. He's standing next to the horses. He goes, Dad, look at this. And he showed his father that on both horses, the manes were tied in knots. Little knots were tied into these horses' manes. What do you think that is, Dad? That wasn't like that yesterday. And the father's looking at that. He knows what it is. It's an old story from an old country. His country, his people, have often talked about this. He's never seen it before, but he knows what it means. He turns to his son and says, get your gear, get on the horse, we're leaving, we're going home, camping trip's over. What? Get your gear, get on your horse, we're leaving and going home. Do it. And later on, Thomas's father told his son where we're from, where our country, where our people are from. There's an old tale that I've heard. That having your horse's manes tied in knots is a sign that you've been visited or you're in the presence of a witch. That's who was outside the campfire. We are not spending another night in this forest. Let's ride home. And so they did. So I found this story on the X board. It was posted anonymously on X board by Thomas's son. So he said, this story happened to my dad and my grandpa. They were out in the woods and so on and so forth. The story I just told you. And, it's an interesting story. The reason why I wanted to tell it was two reasons. One, it reminded me a lot of a story we covered a long time ago about a man camping alone. I think it was in Utah. I'll put the episode in the show notes. But he encountered something that lurked just outside of the light that his campfire provided. And what he saw was a woman walking on her hands. So basically had the same ending. He just packed up and left as soon as he could. And that was very striking. That was the first time I think I had come across that visual, and now having run into it again, it's such a haunting visual. It's this idea that they're always out there. And they know how to stay barely visible. If you didn't see them at all, you wouldn't be scared at all. They can make noises in the brush. But the fact that they're just close enough that you can see them, but far enough away that you can't make out any details, that shows some sort of sinister intelligence behind it. You see what I mean? Like, it could have gotten closer. Whatever was there, it could have walked within the ring of campfire light and made itself fully visible. It didn't want to. It could have also remained further out and not been seen at all, but it didn't want to. It wanted to be noticed. It wanted to be known. But it didn't fully want to reveal what it was. That sinister intelligence I find very fascinating. We have these two stories now. The other reason why I wanted to talk about this story is this is very fascinating. So obviously the father character in the story says, this is something from the old country. I've heard these stories about the witches' knots. And when this was posted on the X board, we weren't given what old country he's talking about. So I looked it up. I figured, I wonder if this is actually a pretty popular belief. It's actually so popular that people still talk about it today. There are a ton of photographs of this thing. The witch's knot. And it is a mostly European folktale. You can have versions of it in England, versions of it. I think there was a version of it from Bulgaria. There's all this stuff's in the show notes, but you have all these different versions of this story. The witch's knot. Some people call it the fairy knot, which is like, I hate fairies, right? So hopefully it's not that. But it's this idea that there is a supernatural force that will braid your horse's hair. But you go, well, Jason, you said there's a bunch of photographs of this. Well, how is that possible? If this is some sort of supernatural occurrence, shouldn't it also be like ghosts and UFOs? You don't really get a lot of evidence of it. So this is what's so fascinating about this. There is a debate. There's 3 schools of thought over what the witch's knot is. There are some people who say it is a supernatural phenomenon. It means that a witch is nearby and is planning on doing magic. And I found an article when I was researching all this stuff where the website said, yes, this is the sign of a witch, but it's a good witch. So if you happen to find knots in your horse's hair, don't worry. That just means a local witch is casting a spell. Stay away from my horse. I don't care whether or not it's a good spell or a bad spell. Stay away from my horse. Some people say that it's more sinister than that. I don't know who wrote that. What was let me find, I had it pulled up here. Let me pull up the, this was from, where were you at? Oh, it's from The Guardian. Like a real newspaper. I read The Guardian a lot. I wouldn't say every day, but I read it a couple times a week. They're like, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So, yeah, worry about it. Someone's messing with your horse. But anyway, so some people say it is a supernatural phenomenon done by a real person. And we have all these photographs of it. The other school of thought is, no, this is not supernatural. It is natural. A witch's knot or a fairy knot or an elf knot, some people call it that as well. What happens is it's when your horse gets some sort of bramble, some sort of sticks or twigs or whatever in its mane. And if it's not taken out soon enough, it begins to knot the hair. It's the same thing if you took a handful of straight computer cables, USB charger cables, whatever, and threw them in a drawer. You could open that drawer up a week later and they're impossibly tangled. Oh, that might be an exaggeration. They're not impossibly, but they're tangled up. And you go, I haven't really even used this drawer that much. things get tangled. It's more likely going to get tangled than remain a bunch of cables just lying side by side. Same thing with hair. So they go, there's nothing supernatural about it. It's actually, you're not taking care of your horse properly, and that's what's causing these knots to be there. There are people who take care of horses all the time, and they go, that's not it. That's not it at all. You can actually look at the intricacy of the knot, and they'll show photographs. There's a ton of photographs of this phenomenon. They go, this is not random. You can clearly tell that this has been braided or knotted in such a way that it would not happen naturally. So you have a lot of debate about this because it is so common, which might make you lean towards, oh, well, then it has a natural origin. But even today, there's actually a third school of thought on this. There are people who go, it's not a witch, and it's not normal. Because I've spent a lot of time around horses. Not me, this is them saying that. I don't like horses. I think they're nice, but they scare me. They're just too big. I don't like dealing with any animal larger than myself. They go, it's not a witch, and it's not natural. This is interesting, right? How stories change, how lore changes, urban legends spread. They go, not a witch, not natural. If you go out to your horse barn or your pasture or whatever, and you notice one or two of your horses have knots in their hair, that's actually a sign of a thief. They have knotted the horse's hair as a signal to other thieves that, like part of their same gang, this is the horse or horses we're going to steal. Isn't that interesting? Like, there's nothing really to back that up, right? There's nothing to back that up, but you have people going, I don't believe in witches, and I know it's not natural. So they've developed a new origin for it. It's actually a thieves' knot. It's to show that this is the horse we're going to kidnap. I don't know why they just don't they spend the time braiding its hair and they don't kidnap it that night. I don't get it. But very, very interesting. One phenomenon, 3 possible scenarios to it. And 4, right, because you have good witches and bad witches. That's just 2 kind of packed into one. And, if some people say the fairies do it, whatever. But some people say it's thieves, some people say it's natural. But whatever is causing this, it's very common. But very, very interesting story. And just the idea of this sinister, intelligent force standing outside of the fire. Again, the horse's manes weren't knotted. That's another thing. The horse knots seem to appear overnight. The witch's knots seem to appear overnight. So that's why people say it's not natural. Because it's just one day it's there. One day it's not there, the next day it is. Even if it wasn't a witch tying the knots in the manes of these horses, I think that is a very prudent decision to just leave. Because if that was a real human out there, I think he also had sinister intentions in mind, just because he wouldn't make himself known. But got close enough that they recognized there was a person out there, standing just outside of the campfire light. Fascinating. Fascinating stuff. HP 720cc. I'm going to go ahead and toss you the keys to the world. Famous Carpenter Copter. We're leaving. I was wondering where this story took place, too. I was very curious about that. It might be in Europe. It might be in Utah. I honestly thought it would be, this guy's anonymous on the export, so we'll never know. But wouldn't that be crazy if this story also took place in Utah? We have, again, a connected visual between possible connected phenomenon. HP 720cc, I'm tossing you the keys of the world. Famous Carpenter Copter, we're leaving behind this location. Why don't you fly us all the way out to an airport? We land at this airport, and this story takes place in the 2020s, so it's a fairly recent story. And there we're about to meet a man. We don't have his real name. We're going to call him Jerry. Jerry is a shopkeep at this airport. We don't know which one he works at, but he's there and it's night. So the international flights are coming in less and less. Everything's starting to slow down. It's the end of his shift. He closes up his shop, and that's when he realizes that he needs to go to the bathroom. He really needs to take a dump. Now, there's very few places that have a better restroom system than an airport. I've spent a lot of time in airports. I will do anything to avoid using a bathroom on the plane, because I'm pretty sure it was designed simply to be a cruel joke. Now I get it, listen, I'm a big guy. And it's very hard for me to turn around in an airplane bathroom. Let's not even get started on trying to wash your hands. I was like, oh, this is too sci-fi for me. This is like Demolition Man. I'm just gonna not wash my hands. Everything will be fine. I had to take a dump on a plane once. I said, I'm never gonna go through that again. So I don't eat before a flight at all. Like I might have a dinner the night before. I might just have lunch the day before. And then I don't eat again until the plane lands because it's horrible. It's such a bad experience. I don't even like peeing on planes, honestly. It's a very, very small bullseye. So I spend a lot of time in airport bathrooms. You're like, Jason, isn't that where that senator got arrested for trying to hook up with some dude? That does happen. I mean, there are people having sex in the bathrooms in airports, but I've never experienced it or witnessed it. You know, I've been in there a lot. I haven't, you know, because it's like the foot tapping thing. You guys know about that, right? If you're in a bathroom stall and you look down at the other dude's foot, like his foot, he's in his stall, you're in your stall, and you just look at his foot for a while, and then he starts tapping his foot. Then you tap your foot. You're like, oh my God, I didn't know that's what I was doing all these times. I thought I was just tapping along. I thought we had a little rhythm going with my bathroom buddy. No, if you ever find yourself tapping your foot, and the guy in the next stall starts tapping his foot, he wants to have sex with you. And so that's a signal to say, hey, I'm open. You can come into my stall. We can have sex. Listen, I know people get upset when I kink shame, but I can think of very few places more disgusting than having sex in a active bathroom. I cannot imagine the idea of having sex with someone while 3 feet away, a man is taking a dump. I remember a long time ago, I was watching a documentary about AIDS. I think I've talked about this before. It was about AIDS and the gay community and all that stuff. And I learned a lot of interesting stuff. I wish I remember the name of the documentary. A lot of interesting stuff. But it was real sad. You know, one guy's like, I can never have sex with anyone ever again because I don't want to give him AIDS. And he's like in his like 30s. He's like, I'm terrified that I would give it to somebody. I would never want to give this to someone. So he goes, so I'll never have sex again. But I remember watching this documentary, this dude goes, they had a room where he went to this gay bar, gay club type of thing. Sex club, right? It wasn't just a drinking club. He goes, I'd go to this gay club and they had a basement. Right there, you know, things are going to get kind of insane. And he goes, this was a room where we'd have these huge gay orgies. But there wasn't a lot of airflow. Jason, does this have anything to do with whatever story you're about to tell us? Kind of. He goes, so the first time I went, I was warned. A friend of mine, and we were going to this gay orgy together. He goes, hey, listen, I'm going to tell you something. It smells really bad down there. And it's not just like gay sex. There's like some scat going on. At this point, you're like, wait, what? I thought I was just going to have sex with 20 guys. You didn't tell me poop was involved. Yeah, it's kind of like a fetish club in the basement. Sorry, I probably should have let you know that. It's not all scat, right? How much can you do in a day? How much can you handle? He goes, you're going to go down there. There's a little bit of scat, a little bit of urine, water sports, stuff like that. But it smells really bad. There's a bunch of sweaty men down there engaging in these fetishes and having anal sex with each other. So just be aware of that. And so the guy goes, I went down into the basement, and sure enough, it was this big gay orgy going on. And it smelled so bad, he goes, I threw up. Which definitely isn't helping the ambiance of the place. And his friend was watching him throw up, and the friend starts throwing up. You're like, Jason, does this story have a point? They're just all throwing up on each other. And the friend goes, every time you go in here, everyone does it. We all puke because the smell's so bad. But once you puke, you're kind of over it. Your nose adjusts to the smell of the scat pee orgy. You're good to go. And the guy goes, and I was good to go. Now, I mean, obviously he's taking part in a documentary about AIDS. Eventually the guy got AIDS, and I don't know if it was because of the gay orgy. But yeah, and I thought, man, that I couldn't do that. I couldn't do really, really bad smells. I couldn't walk in a room that smells like BO and poop and pee and vomit and then continue to have a good time. That's just not for me. Jason, or anybody. That's why it was a fetish club. That's why it was in the basement. They didn't want everyone just walking on by. Anyways, like some people, I couldn't do that. If there's too much of a smell, if it's too distracting, I'm just kind of like, I'm out. So anyways, what were we talking about? Yeah, this is just such a simple story. Anyways, let's cut to the chase. Jerry has to go to the bathroom. He really has to go to the bathroom. And he's worked in this airport long enough. He knows what are the good bathrooms, right? We know them too. When you're driving around town, you go, oh, that Taco Bell has a really clean bathroom and I have to go to the bathroom. I'll go there. We all kind of have our own favorite public restrooms. Oh, that basement, I think has a good bathroom. I'll go down there. Wander into a random basement. He said, I decided to just use a bathroom, but when I was walking through kind of the bathrooms that I normally would go to, they were closed for cleaning. Great. So he keeps walking around and then he goes, okay, wait, I got it figured out. There is a bathroom near the departure gates that I can almost guarantee no one's going to be in because it's so slow. There's not a lot of planes coming in. It should be clean, and it's important no one's there because he really has to go. He goes, it's been cleaned. It's like earlier on the cleaning schedule. It's very small. It's almost completely unnoticeable if you didn't know where it was at. He goes, you go into this restroom and it's just like a quick stop. He goes, there's 2 stalls only, and then you got the sink and stuff like that. Perfect, that's where I'm gonna go. And at this point he's really pinching it, right? He really has to go. Makes his way through the airport, finds the bathroom by the departure gate, and when he walks in, he does see that one of the stalls is taken. Whatever, right? At this point, no one really likes pooping when there's someone right next to them. Like, sometimes I might hold it in, right? If I walk into the bathroom and there's a dude in his stall, and especially if I think it's going to be noisy. You're like, just get on with the story, you lunatic. Sometimes if you're like, right? You don't want to make a bunch of farting noises. You might get embarrassed of this guy that you've never met before. You don't want him to leave the bathroom and go, that was disgusting. I walked into a bathroom and someone was farting and pooping. I'm never shopping here again. Because you kind of know what noises you're going to make based on how much your stomach hurts. But, listen, sometimes you just can't help it. You run in and you're just going to drop your innards right into a bowl of water. And if someone's embarrassed by you, whatever, you just really got to go. Jerry goes in this bathroom. There's someone in the stall next to him. He goes, I just got to go so bad. He gets down, sits on the toilet, and begins to poop. Let me specify, he's using the other stall, by the way. He's not like, out of the way, this is my favorite stall. Sits on the guy's lap and starts pooping. No, there's 2 stalls. He's using the other one. The guy's in the... There's 2 stalls. You guys get it, right? You're like, yes, we get it. You're like, I'm afraid Jason's going to get distracted and start telling us more poop stories. Telling us about some bizarre documentary he watched. I gotta find that. It was really heartbreaking. All those people with AIDS. It was quite sad. Now, as Jerry is going to the bathroom, he hears coming from the next stall a man. He seems to have this low, he describes it as like a low, heavy breathing. Coming from the stall next to him, Jerry's like, I don't care. I don't care what noises that man is making, I gotta go. This dude is pooping, and there's a guy pooping in the stall next to him, and Jerry's relieved. He's gonna take a dump, and then he's gonna go home for the night. But when he's done pooping, he wipes, does all that stuff, flushes the toilet. I do the courtesy flush, too. I always flush halfway through pooping, so it's not so stinky. I think a lot of people do that. I don't know if Jerry did that, but anyways, it's not part of the story. It doesn't matter. He goes to leave the stall. He's done. He goes to leave the stall and he grabs the little slider lock and he attempts to open the door. but he's not able to. The slider lock is jammed. He's like, what? He's trying to open it up. The slider won't move. Jerry is stuck in the stall, and he keeps trying to figure it out. He wants to get out of there. And then that's when he hears a sound, a loud sound, coming from the stall next to him. He compared it to this, and I honestly feel it'd be one of those sounds that's kind of unmistakable. Even if you've never heard this before, if you heard it, you would know what it was. He goes, I heard a loud sound, and it sounded like a person simply slumped to the ground and hit the floor. And that's a sound I don't think really many of us have heard. And I think if you heard it, you would be like, oh, you'd look around because you'd be like, that sounded like somebody hitting the ground. The mix of bones and meat on hard floor. I think we could pick it out if we heard it. That's what he says. He goes, it sounded like someone just slammed onto the ground, just was sitting on the toilet and just collapsed. Jerry is concerned, but that's a B problem. Right now, the A problem is getting his stall door unlocked. Even if he does need to render assistance to the guy in the stall next to him, he has to get out of this one first. But as Jerry's trying to unlock his door, he hears somebody, I mean, he can assume it's the man in the stall next to him, violently hitting the stall door in that stall. Ba-ba-boom. 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 You know when you kick a bathroom stall door, it vibrates because it's like the lock. If you kick a stall door in a bathroom, you can feel it vibrate and it'll move a little bit. Ba-ba-boom. Ba-ba-boom. It's shaking against the lock. And Jerry's like, what is going on? That dude, he probably needs help. And now he's hitting the door on his side as hard as he can. It gets louder and louder and louder. The lights in the bathroom begin to flicker. Ba-ba-boom. 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 The pounding against that stall door grows more and more aggressive. The lights are flickering at this point so rapidly. Jerry thinks at any moment this entire bathroom is going to go pitch black. These light bulbs are just going to burst. And he's going to be trapped in the dark with whatever is going on in that stall door next to him. And just when Jerry thought it couldn't get any worse, the pounding, the lights flickering, his own troubles of being locked in his own stall, the entire bathroom begins to fill with an odor, a stench. He described it as, imagine if you took something organic, food, for example, a big plate of Swedish meatballs. He didn't use that exact example. A meatloaf your mom loves to make. Manja. Imagine your most delicious food ever, and then it is left out to rot in the summer sun. And while it is rotting, someone poops all over it. What an odd thing. Here's the thing. I don't think I'd recognize that smell. I know the smell of like rotten food, stuff like that. And then I know the smell of poop, but it being combined together, I don't know if I could really place that. I mean, I'm vomiting, but I was like, let me figure this out. Maybe three or more vomits will allow me to smell it. He said it smelled like rotten crap. Just rot and decay and then human feces all mixed into one. And this smell is filling the bathroom. It's flying up through his nostril like a cartoon. There's little scent lines. He's like, trying to swat them away. They're going up into his nostril. He can't do anything about it. And then that is when he goes, okay, there's another way out of a bathroom stall. There's another way out of a bathroom stall. It's not the best way to get out of one, but there is a way. I can't do this. Whatever is going on, it's super smelly. I'm pretty sure that guy next to me has turned into a gargoyle or something. He goes, I decided not to even bother opening the stall door. He got down and he shimmied out underneath the stall. Right, you have that gap. You have like a 2-foot gap in between the floor and the stall door. He goes, I just got out and slid out of there and ran out of the bathroom. And Jerry, as he's running out of the bathroom, he hears that banging on the stall door get so bad, he swears that door has to be about ready to fall off the hinges. It's being hit with such force, there's not going to be anything left when I come back with help. Because at the end of the day, you're thinking, something's going on. Something real. Nothing up to this point has really been supernatural. A guy in a stall having some sort of medical event and then pounding on the door and then the smell. It's a bathroom. And also, if you're dying, a lot of times you will defecate. So it's possible this guy could be so sick he's trying to get out and he's pooping everywhere. It's super disgusting. Jerry runs out of the bathroom. And he does. He runs to security. Guys, you gotta come with me, man. I don't want to get all the details, but anyway, just follow me. And they follow him to this departure bathroom. And Jerry runs in there. Security's right behind him. The bathroom is empty. No one's there. The lights are working perfectly. There's no damage to the stall door, which would have been almost guaranteed by how hard it was being hit. It's a perfectly normal airport bathroom. Also didn't smell, right? They're like, oh, that's super disgusting, okay? I remember you were right about that detail. No, totally normal. And Jerry was like, dude, I don't know. Dude, like, all of this just happened just like seconds ago. He ran out and grabbed security. And the security were kind of like, well, Jerry... Yeah, long day, maybe. Maybe it's time to head on out. You're leaving, right? Yeah, I was leaving. Okay, well, Jerry thought it was odd. They didn't seem really concerned about any of it. Didn't even seem concerned that maybe he was hallucinating it or anything. They just seemed to kind of blow it off. Jerry learns that, yes, security did blow it off. Because they had already investigated the exact same thing 2 times. 2 times before Jerry's experience, the security team in that area ran into that bathroom to find a perfectly normal bathroom. No, I swear there was like someone banging on the door and this horrible smell. Okay, we'll look into it. We'll look at videotape. The first time they would have taken it very seriously. The second time they probably would have thought it was odd. And then by the third time they go, okay, something's happening. We don't think the people are making it up, but we know when we follow Jerry into this bathroom, it's going to be completely normal. So Jerry and his friend, who we will call Bill. Bill is the guy who actually posted this story online. Bill said, Jerry told me this story. Insane story. And he also told me security didn't really seem that worried about it. So together, they kind of started asking around. And that's when security goes, yeah, this has already happened twice. It's the same thing. We've heard it twice. Well, okay, do you think it's haunted? Bill and Jerry are kind of asking around, and what they find out was 2 weeks before Jerry's experience, a very short time period. There was a big Samoan guy who was probably leaving this airport. It's near the departure gate. But this big Samoan guy went into that bathroom and he had a heart attack in that stall. The same stall where all these noises were coming from. 2 weeks ago, this guy died suddenly. In fact, and this is weird, it adds an eerie element to it. It's not just that his ghost seemed to be trapped there. When he was dying, he did slump onto the floor of the bathroom, but his body blocked the stall door from opening. They couldn't get in. The EMTs could not get into the stall to render aid. What they had to do is they had to pry the door open before they could actually get to him. Maybe if they'd gotten to him earlier, he would have had a better chance of survival, or maybe not. Maybe it was a widowmaker. Maybe it was just took him out almost instantly. After Jerry's experience in this bathroom, there was another report of the same thing. Another traveler or an employee reported to security that they were stuck in the bathroom and they heard this crazy noise and they thought this guy might need help. The room started smelling and all that stuff. Security checked it out. Same thing. Bathroom's totally normal. And then this phenomenon was never reported again. It happened 2 times before Jerry, 1 time after him, and no more reports from the departure bathroom at this international airport. Bill, when he's writing this up, he goes, I hope that, because it was never experienced after that 4th time, he goes, I hope that guy finally found some peace and his spirit moved on. But Bill goes, neither me nor Jerry ever used that bathroom again. Fair enough, right? That's fair enough. It's interesting. This is a story that I go, somebody dies in an airport. It's probably big news. Maybe not like international news, but newsworthy at least. It's not. Airlines are required to report when a passenger dies on a plane. But if you die in the airport, there's no requirement to list that. It sounds odd, right? It sounds odd. I go, this should be pretty common. This should be noteworthy. How many people die in airports? We don't know. They did a Chicago Tribune in 1996 ran an article, and this is a quote, more than 700 emergency medical landings in this country each year. More than 12,000 in-flight medical emergencies. That's a ton. But you imagine how many people are traveling in the country. And, medical emergencies could mean all sorts of things. It could mean heart attack. It could mean I'm having a reaction to something I took or whatever. Some medicine that I had side effect to. It could be really anything. More than 12,000 in-flight medical emergencies and somewhere between 114 and 360 medical deaths. Not counting those passengers who get sick on an airplane and die after reaching the hospital. Unquote. So if you have a heart attack on a plane, but you don't die on the plane, it is not recorded as this is how many people died this year, according to the FAA, on flights. It reminded me of that old conspiracy theory during the Second Gulf War, where if you got shot in Iraq, you were immediately stabilized, put on a plane, and flown to Germany, basically out of the theater of war. And I think Germany was the closest base that would be considered out of that theater. And if you died once the plane took off from the country, it was not considered a battle casualty of the Iraq War. I don't know how true that is. That's been a conspiracy theory going around since that war, so the early 2000s. I remember coming across that. And they said, obviously the family's still alerted that their son or their daughter died and how they died, right? They were killed. But it wasn't, the government didn't have to list that as someone who died in the war, because you didn't die in the war. You were stabilized, the plane took off. Maybe the plane was flying over Lebanon and you died. That wasn't considered an Iraqi war casualty. I don't know how true that is. That is a conspiracy theory that I've heard. I don't hear it so much anymore. That's kind of what this reminds me of, right? So you could say, well, imagine if the number's higher. If you have 12,000 in-flight medical emergencies, but it lands and you go to the hospital and then you die, that none of that is registered saying this many people die every year flying planes, not related to plane crashes. I saw one statistic, and I'll see if I can double check this. It sounds true, but basically more people die due to medical events in airplanes than die in plane crashes. Like per year, more people are having a heart attack on a plane or a stroke on a plane or whatever, some sort of medical condition, not plane related. They had it before getting on the plane, and it kicks in a high gear on the plane. They say more people die due to medical reasons on planes than die in plane crashes every single year. That probably is true. I'll see if I can double check that fact. So I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I thought actually someone dying in an airport bathroom would be odd enough that it would be in the news and we'd be able to find out the name of the airport, maybe the name of the man who died in the stall. Because I always like looking for that information for ghost stories. But it turns out that, I mean, you think about how many people travel each day, let alone each month or each year. And I'm looking for stories from 2020 to now. The story of a man dying in a bathroom stall at an airport, that's not going to be in the news. It happens a lot, probably. More than you would think, at least. Maybe not that exact situation. Like he has to die. He's a big Samoan guy who dies in a bathroom stall. But you know, people dying in airports. So many people are traveling there. But a terrifying ghost story. Like, I was hoping to find some more information to back it up, but terrifying ghost story nonetheless. The idea of a soul being trapped in a public restroom. Listen, I've done live speeches on bathroom ghosts. It sounds horrible. Also, the idea that bathrooms themselves lend themselves to ghostly activity just by design. The flowing water is a big sign of can create spiritual activity. Depending on what the ceramic is made of, a lot of ceramic, not all of it, but a lot of this bathroom tile can be made or have a component of limestone, like limestone dust, which is also a thing that can activate spiritual presence. Some people say even the pipes. The pipes in the airport are probably newer than the pipes of most places, but like old pipes, copper pipes, can seem to be a magnifier of ghostly activity. It is nice that this was only encountered 4 times, because it's very violent, right? It's not just the ghost of a lady in Victorian clothing walking around. This man was still struggling to get out of this bathroom stall. He was having a real effect on the physical environment. Very violent ghost, a sad ghost, a scared ghost. So it is good that he found his peace. I also will remark, and we'll wrap it up with this too. I could kind of go on and on. I love talking about this stuff, but 2 weeks, right? So he had died 2 weeks before 3 hauntings had been experienced. The 4th haunting, we don't know how late that happened. Most ghosts do not become that active that quickly. It's so rare, it's notable. We did the story about the guy who killed himself, and his ghost was instantly visible to his girlfriend. Like, she was in the room when he shot himself, and she saw his ghost standing there looking over his own body with a shocked look on his face, and then he vanished. That almost never happens. I think that was the one time I ever found something like that. Most time it takes ghosts a bit to manifest. 2 weeks, though. Within 2 weeks. 3 experiences with smells and noises and the door shaking, the lights flickering. Truly a lost soul in that bathroom stall. But luckily he did find his way out. And hopefully he has found peace in the afterlife. A creepy story with a happy ending. But you wonder, out of all the public restrooms out there in the world right now, how many people have died in those? A couple of them smell like it already, but how many violent... You're like, Jason, none! It was one dude. It was a big Samoan guy who they couldn't open the door when he died. That's pretty low. That's probably... Yeah, maybe, but there's a lot of public restrooms. We've covered public restroom ghosts before. You never know. So the next time you really have to go to the bathroom, you might consider holding it in. You might be thinking, well... I could get explosive hemorrhoids because I really have to go. But one time Jason told me a spooky story, so I don't want to stop at a public restroom. I'm just going to keep driving till I make it home. Sure, it's another hour and a half before you reach your house. But I say hold it. Hold it in. Because the risk of encountering a spirit is just too spooky. Like, no, spooky is when I go to the butt doctor and they tell me my intestines have exploded. That would be scary, too. DeadRabbitRadio@gmail.com is going to be our email address. You can also hit us up at Facebook.com/DeadRabbitRadio. TikTok is @DeadRabbitRadio. Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal conspiracy and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day, but I'm so glad you listened to it today. Have a great one.